Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ha. I am a behavior analyst for kids with special needs and severe behaviors. Have you ever noticed that your child on the spectrum engages in repetitive behaviors quite often? Behaviors like hand flapping, body rocking, or even behaviors that seem to be inappropriate, like touching themselves. These are known as stimming behaviors, which are quite common in kids with autism. And today I want to talk more about why kids on the spectrum engages in these sensory seeking behaviors more often, when should we intervene, and how do we do it. Stimming behavior or self-stimulatory behavior is a way for kids with autism to regulate themselves. Think of it like this. When you feel overwhelmed, you might fidget, you might bounce your legs, or you might take a deep breath to calm down. For kids on the spectrums, self-stimulatory behaviors serve the same purpose, but it is often more noticeable. Kids on the spectrum tend to have heightened sensory processing. This means that loud noises or bright lights or even too much or too fast movement in the environment can overwhelm them very easily. Stimming is a way to help them block out those distractions that is overloading them. Now, the big question that I get asked all the time is, should we intervene with these behaviors? And the answer is, it depends. In many cases, stimming behaviors are harmless because it helps the child regulate. So if it's not disrupting their ability to learn or interact with others, then it's perfectly fine and we should let them continue. However, there are a few cases where intervention might be necessary. First, if the stimming behaviors is self-harm. For example, if your child bangs their head on hard surfaces or bites their hands, or overall they engages in behaviors that can cause harm to themselves, we definitely want to intervene because safety comes first. Second, if the behaviors is socially inappropriate, such as touching themselves in public, or if it interferes with their learning or their day-to-day activities, then we need to address these behaviors. Even though these behaviors are their way to meet their sensory need, we can teach them more appropriate and alternative ways to do so. How do we intervene in a way that respects a child's needs for sensory input? Let's break it down into 3 simple steps. Step number 1, what type of sensory needs is that? Some children crave deep pressure, which is why you might see them squeezing things or wrapping themselves in blankets, and this is called proprioceptive input. If your child is constantly touching or pressing themselves against things, they might be seeking this kind of sensation. Other children may seek vestibular input, which is the sensation of movement. You might see them rocking their body back and forth, flapping their hands, or spinning in circles, or jumping up and down. Some children will seek out tactile sensations, meaning they need to feel different textures. You might see them constantly rubbing soft fabrics or squishing slimes or even touching their own skin. Then in this case, you can offer them sensory activities like Play-Doh, fidget spinners, sensory bins, etc. Number 2 is, once we know what kind of sensation they are craving, we can offer them an alternative way to meet their needs. If a child engages in inappropriate touching because of sensory reasons, you can introduce alternatives like squeezing a stress ball or using a weighted blanket for deep pressure or playing with fidget toys. And this way they will get the same sensory input but in a more socially appropriate manner. For my clients, I usually start with expanding play skills because the reason is simple. If the only behavior they know is stimming for sensory input, they will engage in it all day long. But when we teach them different ways to make themselves feel better, like running, like jumping around, playing with different toys, they now have several tools and several ways to entertain themselves. And in my experience, once a child improves their play skills, stimming behaviors will just naturally go down. Step number 3 is to teach them social rules. For older children who may engage in these behaviors in public, it's important to teach them the difference between public and private spaces. You can explain it like this. It is okay to do this in private, but it's not okay to do this in public. And the reason we do it is not to make them feel ashamed of their own sensory needs, but to protect them from social misunderstandings or the troubles that could arise if they engage in certain behaviors in public. Some sensory-seeking behaviors can be perceived as inappropriate by others, so teaching children these boundaries will help ensure that they are safe and can prevent them from facing negative reaction from others. We want them to have their own tools to self-regulate, but we also want to help them understand when or where it's appropriate to engage in these behaviors. Remember that sensory-seeking behaviors are not something to be fixed, but something to be understood. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button below and follow me for more tips on managing challenging behaviors and helping your child grow. Feel free to leave comments below about your experience or any topics that you would like me to cover in future videos. Thank you for watching and take care.